Facebook, Apple, and Google always in competition, and in the latest shot across the bow, people say that Facebook is in talks with Skype Technologies so that it can offer web video calling to its 500 million users. With more on the likelihood of this purchase and what it would mean to the competitive environment, we turn to Bob Rice. He is managing partner at Tangent Capital Partners. Bob founded his own 3D software company in the 90s. He is now an angel investor right here in New York. Bob, always glad to see you.
Thank you.
What is the likelihood, first of all, that Facebook does buy Skype?
I think it's a pretty decent chance. I mean, certainly Skype is trying very hard to get itself purchased here, and they really want to get purchased
while at the same time preparing itself for an IPO,
well,
right?
Actually, they're doing a great job marketing themselves because they're filed for an IPO, but they would love to do a strategic deal because there's a lot more value in Skype to a strategic purchaser than a financial buyer, and they're going to get a lot more out of a deal with, say, Facebook than they will out of an IPO.
And one thing you highlighted to me, I mean, Facebook's valuation, $75 billion on second market, and then Skype, I don't know, 4 to 5,
well,
5 to 6?
They're asking 4 or 5. I think, frankly, they'd be lucky to get half that, and I think they would settle for something like that because their IPO is only going to be 100 million, 150 million, something like that. But yeah, the skyrocketing value of Facebook in the second market stuff is just absolutely astonishing.
If we look at the competitive landscape, though, and we look at Facebook and what it has to do to compete with Google, to compete with Apple, would this transaction make sense?
Well, it will help them, but you know, frankly, what I worry about with them, from a feature set point of view, obviously, it makes a lot of sense. Video conferencing would be a great thing to have. Everyone can agree on that. But you know, I worry about certain things here. One of the things is Facebook just doesn't have a huge, deep bench of operational talent ready to throw at a merger of this size. And you know very well, most mergers fail. So there's a real integration issue there, if nothing else.
What about strategic focus?
Well, strategic focus is something I'm really worried about for Facebook because what the new thing is something called the interest graph. That's last year's buzzword was the social graph. Right. Now it's the interest graph. And what's happening is services are springing up which allow people to collaborate around specific activities and hobbies and interests. For example, there's a new company called Instagram, which has just taken off like a rocket, which allows people to do social networking around the photographs that they take with their handheld devices. And so this is siphoning time away from Facebook.
And so Facebook, I know you've told me before, might just end up like the phone book.
Right. I mean, I use that, and people are shocked at first when they hear it, but it really is true. Everyone will have a listing. It's not like you're going to, delete your Facebook page, but it may well be that you simply spend less and less time on the monolithic social network site and more time around your interests.
Well, Bob, it's not a surprise to us in media. I mean, we've seen that. You know, it goes from large-scale coverage where everybody watches or reads the same thing to industry insiders really tailoring the news that you're interested in. So
sure.
The model's even already out there.
Exactly, and it's happened over and over again. General media, broadcast television to cable, and portal internet sites to specific internet sites, so it's the same trend.
China is a big frontier, obviously, for any tech company. Is Facebook's potential acquisition of Skype a way for Facebook to try to get in via the back door to China, or is this sort of faulty reasoning?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of people have mentioned that idea. I don't believe it for a couple of reasons. Number one, Skype has already bought into the Chinese censorship program. They actually retooled their system so it works with the Chinese government censorship controls. So given that the Chinese government has said no to Facebook, and frankly, Facebook was never very popular there anyway, I don't really think that's the idea.
Google, Apple, Facebook, we've been talking about this kind of competitive, I mean, should anybody buy Facebook?
Well, if somebody were to buy Facebook and could buy Facebook, I think it would be a great idea for Google. Not so much for Apple. But Google desperately needs to get into the social networking space. And of course, Facebook is the mother of all social networks. And meantime, Facebook needs what Google has, which is an OS, an operating system, and control of handheld devices. Because over time, as computing moves to the cloud, which is absolutely inevitable, control of the path to the cloud is going to be very important for social networking purposes too. So a Google-Facebook hookup, at least strategically, would make a lot of sense to me.
All right. Well, maybe either people from Google or Facebook are listening. We'll take your words to heart. Bob Rice, thanks for coming in. As always, Bob Rice joining us right here in the newsroom. He is a partner at Tangent Capital Partners.